What do you think of Sara Cooperman? One of the most influential figures of the fitness industry and a Fitness Hall of Fame winner, Sara Cooperman has both someone for whom I've had the privilege of working for and learning from for over 2 decades. And there are lots of what I've called Sara isms that I've gleaned over the last 2 decades of what to do and what not to do in the fitness industry. Ask anyone who's familiar with SK, or the S in SCW, what do you think of Sara? And you will always get an honest answer. And I love that because people have gotten to know this woman in a lot of different methods. For example, as exhibitors, or as presenters, or as faculty members, or as companies that actually have hired her as a presenter or speaker at their events, as well as QVC and books and so many other things, as well as a full-time mom. And I'd like to share in this Lessons Learned some of the most valuable lessons I have learned from her over these years to save you time, energy, effort, and money. And from an insider, and I believe I could call myself for many, many years an insider, what I've learned from lots of growth with the S herself, Sara Cooperman. Pigs eat and hogs get slaughtered. And this means it's okay to negotiate, it's okay to ask for what you think is fair, bearing in mind that what everyone thinks is fair on both sides will be most often something completely different, but it's not okay to be greedy. Look at everything you're getting when you negotiate, not just in terms of salary, honorarium, compensation, or yes, cash. Look at the total picture, including total publicity you get, and then decide if you're willing to walk away. If you're willing to walk away because of ethics, finances, or both, then be prepared to walk away. But remember, it's okay to ask for what you think you're worth and why. It's not okay to overcharge. It's not okay to outbid, and it's not okay to be greedy. For truly, pigs eat, but hogs get slaughtered. Over the years, I've seen various companies both take offense to and feel intimidated by the growth of SCW fitness education. And whether these are other companies providing continuing education, or other conventions, or other certifications, you know what? Sara says, education is education, and all education is good. No one can covet a kettlebell swing, a squat, a yoga principle, or even something ridiculously innocuous as a grapevine. So when we are educating ourselves in this industry called fitness that has no clear defined career path in almost any country, you know what? Let's just make room for everyone and not put down but build up. Years ago, when Sara invited me to present for her after many rejection letters, and I finally got to present, and then I finally became part of SCW faculty, then I started writing and editing certifications. Some other companies whose certifications I replaced by writing certifications that SCW would own took offense with me because I was the author. You can't shoot the messenger. Work is work, education is education, and all education, to quote Sara, is good. So when it comes from a place of love, realize that there is no one way to covet anything. Go for the certification, go for the training, go for the live training, better said, and online training that works best for you. And then know that we don't put down others by what he or she is claiming or what he or she has claimed to be doing in terms of training. We just say, well, I do this because I'm trained by, and I follow this. Because if we really come from a place of love and ethics and care that the world become better in terms of knowing how to move better, education is education, and all education is good. It's all about having systems. Sara says that when you spend a lot of time, energy, effort, and money in learning how to do something and correct yourself and learn the best way, at least for this demographic in this year, to do something, write down what you've learned and how to do it so almost anyone could follow it and call it a system. A system for making a post, a system for doing registration for first-time attendees at a mania, a system for doing laundry, a system for your cleaning lady or man to take care of your area if that's what you're involved in, a system for training your mascot, if you will. Having a system shows that you have put time, energy, effort, and money into finding a valued method of delivery for what works. And I have found that I have more notes on my iPhone for systems thanks to this suggestion than I care to even admit. We're talking over 300 systems. Talk about a little OCD, but I've learned how not to try to reinvent the wheel. When we find something that works, unless we change a step for something better based on feed forward or a fail, we keep what works and let anyone follow it. It's called a system. There's a huge difference between responding and reacting. I'm sure you can relate to hitting the send button on an iMessage or an email and then sort of thinking, I could have said that a lot better or a lot differently, or I could have responded from a place of a higher vibration or a lot more love. So I believe sometimes, initially, the best response is no response, and then follow Sara's words. Take time to make sure that whatever you reply is a response and not a reaction. Our energies flare sometimes with love and sometimes from other emotions, which really boil down to fear, and we sort of explode, but it's okay to do that, but not in public. And then, when you're going to send your message, make sure your message from time and cooling down and prayers for wisdom reflect a response and not characterize themselves as reactions. You'll always, as Roberto Vargas says, realize that love is always the answer. And when love is always the answer, it's not something you ever regret. Everyone, Sara says, has a seat on the bus. And if you've asked for a seat on the bus, in other words, if you've asked for a job or a position, be sure you know where to sit on the bus. And when it's time, maybe know how to drive the bus. And if you're not ready to drive the bus, maybe not ask even for a seat on the bus. Or take a seat on the bus and watch the driver so you know how to fill in, pull your weight, and make sure you are part of your team and see your job in the greater good of creation. In other words, be aware. And one person's duties sometimes can be everyone's duties. Sometimes I've heard people say to me, well, I'm not getting paid enough. Well, you know what? You're already getting paid. Or you couldn't pay me to XYZ. Well, they're already paying you. And so as part of a team effort, sometimes it's important to know how to drive the bus and pick up the pieces. I've also learned from other sources, it's better to ask for forgiveness than wait for permission, because analysis is paralysis and nothing gets done at the end of the day if you say, well, she wasn't here, the boss is out, I have to wait till someone returns, and then this person is the only one authorized to do this. Why are you even on the bus to send that kind of information? Know how to drive the bus and sit in a place that allows you to observe who is driving the bus so you can fill in, learn from, and give power to the person driving the bus. These are some of the lessons learned, or the Sara-isms I have gleaned from Sara Cooperman. Now, if she were here on camera with me, she may say, well, you know, I may have said this differently, Lawrence, or you may have interpreted this different from what I meant. And that's all okay, because at the end of the day, Communication is what we get regardless of what we intend. So this is how I've interpreted Sara-isms and lessons I've learned and continue to strive to live up to. Responding and not reacting, and not being over greedy when I negotiate, and learning that if I really ask to be on a bus, I better step up and learn to find the right seat on that bus, and maybe even learn how to drive a bus or make my own bus. It's so important. Thank you, Sara, for all that you've taught me in the industry, and thank you for letting me be tenacious enough, unlike others who, if one little thing doesn't go perfectly, I didn't run away. I have been with you. You have hired me. I've been in this relationship for something I'm really proud to say, that as presenter and author and editor and faculty member, I'm part of SCW, and I really feel invested as a family member in a lot of different ways. So thank you for teaching me all of these and more, which I choose right now not to share. Otherwise, this would be a 20-minute lessons learned. But that's it. With love in my heart and a firm conviction to spread wellness without walls, I'm Lawrence, expressing my gratitude to you for allowing me to share my lessons learned thus far. And I conclude this lessons learned by just asking, is there anything I've said here that the wisdom of Sara Cooperman could help you save time, energy, effort, and money in your life, work, or professional?